For years, one careful scientist spent long nights mapping out exactly how humanity might meet an alien civilization. He laid out 9 detailed scenarios. Then he admitted, on camera, that almost every one of his own honest predictions might be wrong. The aliens we meet, if we ever meet them, might not look, sound, or even act like aliens. They might not even be alive. And that single confession cracks open everything we thought we knew about first contact in one short, quiet moment. If you came here for real science with no Hollywood drama, this is one of those stories that quietly stays with you. Tap subscribe so the next strange, careful idea lands the moment we drop it here on the channel. The story of trying to find aliens did not start on movie screens. It started on a quiet hill in West Virginia in the spring of 1960. A young astronomer named Frank Drake pointed a single radio dish at 2 nearby stars called Tau Ceti and Epsilon Eridani. He sat and listened for any faint pattern hidden in the static coming down from those 2 distant suns. The project had a simple name, Project Ozma, taken from a queen in an old children's storybook, and it was the very first modern try to sweep the sky for a message from another world. Nothing solid came back that spring, but the patient chase was on, and our species has never really looked away from those big, quiet dishes since. A year later, in 1961, Frank Drake invited a small group of scientists back to the very same Green Bank Observatory in West Virginia for a quiet 2-day meeting. Out of that small gathering came a tool called the Drake equation, which is not really an answer at all. It is a list of 7 simple, honest questions stacked carefully together like a tall, skinny sandwich, and each question is a calm guess about something we do not know yet. Things like how many stars have planets, how often life quietly begins on a planet, and how often that life becomes smart enough to build a radio dish of its own. You can fill in those 7 guesses with bright, happy numbers and end up with millions of quiet civilizations humming all across our galaxy right now. You can fill them in with very careful, sober numbers, and the answer shrinks all the way down to 1, which is only us, sitting right here on this small, wet rock. That large, honest gap in our answers is exactly why a careful thinker named Isaac Arthur sat down and mapped out 9 different ways first contact might really happen at last. He did not start with the loud question, "Where are they?" the way most of us do whenever we happen to look up at the stars. He started with a softer, more troubling question that feels almost like science fiction until you let it sit quietly in your head for a long while. What if we have not heard anything because we are listening for the wrong kind of voice altogether, and the loud radio messages drawn in movies do not even make sense to a smarter, older mind? What if any clever civilization would stay very quiet on purpose, for very good reasons we have not yet grown wise enough to figure out at all? Here is the first thing I want to ask you, and please drop your honest answer in the comments below as we go. When you picture the moment we finally hear from an alien civilization, do you picture a creature in a silver suit stepping out of a shiny craft on live television? Or do you picture something much stranger, like a small, warm wobble in the light of a very distant star we already quietly measure in our data? Hold that picture in your head for a quiet moment, because by the end of this whole story, you may not recognize it as your own answer anymore. Tell me which one you picked down in the comments, and tap subscribe if you would rather hear slow, careful, real science than big movie noise. To find that strange answer out, we have to step back to one of the strangest nights in the whole history of radio astronomy. Just after midnight on August 15, 1977, a totally different telescope out in Ohio picked up a sharp 72-second burst of energy coming from the direction of a star region called Sagittarius. The Big Ear radio dish at Ohio State University wrote that burst down on a long, rolling paper printout, and the astronomer on duty that night, Jerry Eman, circled the spike in bright red ink. He wrote the single word, "Wow," right next to the circled spike, and that one red word has never really left the field of astronomy since that quiet night. The wow signal came from somewhere near 200 million light-years away, in the direction of a star cluster in Sagittarius, which is a very far distance in plain everyday terms. Nobody has ever caught the same signal a second time, even with much bigger dishes that have listened for hundreds of hours at that exact spot in the sky over many careful years. It might have been a passing comet shedding a thin cloud of hydrogen gas, the kind of natural event no one fully understood back in 1977 when our computers were very slow. Or it might have been exactly what the red ink on the rolling paper gently suggests it could have been in our imagination, a short, one-off hello from someone very far away. Today, the modern version of this patient listening project is called Breakthrough Listen, started in 2015 by the Russian-American investor Yuri Milner, together with the famous physicist Stephen Hawking. It was set up with $100 million of real funding spread out over 10 years, and it ties many of the world's biggest radio dishes into one big listening campaign. So, the first big fact we have to face is a plain, honest one. Humanity has been sweeping radio dishes across the heavens for more than 60 years, and the most famous thing we have actually seen over all those decades is still one curious red circle on an old paper printout in a quiet Ohio file cabinet. Now back to Isaac Arthur's 9 scenarios, because almost every one of them really does not look like Hollywood at all. His list does not even start with the silver suit on the lawn that the movies love so very much, and that single small detail is already a clear clue about how strange real contact could be when it ever comes. His very first box on the list goes like this. What if they came a long time ago and are now gone, leaving only a strange fossil or a quietly hidden message behind in some cold, distant place? Or what if some of them are still here today, watching us from a safe distance the way you might secretly watch a baby chick hatch inside a warm, closed egg? His second scenario is finding the cold, dead ruins of a civilization that just disappeared long, long before we ever grew up here on Earth. Imagine arriving at a quiet planet where no one has lived for 100 million quiet years, but their careful machines are still softly humming, and their old records are still readable in their own private language. That is contact too, but only one way. Us seeing their handiwork long after they finally passed away, with no chance to ask any follow-up question at all. It is like finding an old diary on a quiet library shelf, where you can read the words but cannot write a kind answer back to the writer who has been gone for years. The Voyager Golden Record is the small, gentle version of that same wish flipped right around. Launched back in 1977, 2 Voyager probes carried a small, gold-plated record into the deep dark of the outer solar system, with greetings, sounds, and pictures from our world. They are still drifting slowly outward today, far past the warm reach of our own sun's light, with no real plan for who might quietly find them way out there in the cold. It is a tiny, handwritten diary cast into a very dark ocean, and we honestly do not know if any living eyes will ever read it. His third scenario is finding them from very far away, by looking for the careful footprints of their technology written quietly into the light of a star we already watch. If an advanced civilization builds a tight swarm of solar collectors around its home star, the visible light from that star would slowly dim while it poured out a thick blanket of heat we could measure from across the whole galaxy. That strange, even glow has a simple name in astronomy, a technosignature, and we already know how to go look for it from right here on Earth without launching any new rocket at all. Several real surveys over the last few years have already quietly ruled out millions of nearby stars, one patient star at a time, without finding this strange glow anywhere yet. His fourth scenario is meeting them face to face in deep, dark space, with 2 ships quietly passing in the cold and no third party there to keep the peace. His fifth is meeting them by careful radio, the classic slow search we have been doing for 60 years, but slowed by the simple, sad fact that one round-trip message between stars can take thousands of real years. His sixth is faster-than-light communication, where the round trip is almost instant, which would feel both warmer and very, very much more dangerous than slow-moving radio for any young, fragile civilization. His seventh is one very few people ever expect. What if we are the ones who fly out into the calm galaxy and meet a culture even less advanced than our own? His eighth scenario is meeting them through a quiet third species, like 2 strangers meeting for the very first time at a calm block party thrown by someone else entirely. And his ninth, the most common in loud fiction, is the one he considers the least likely in real life, a single alien ship calmly gliding onto the White House lawn on live television. Pour all 9 carefully next to each other and a strange new pattern shows up. Almost every realistic contact we can honestly imagine would feel less like a loud, dramatic meeting and more like a slow discovery. Most likely, we would never see the alien in the way movies keep suggesting, at least not at the very first moment we learn anything at all about them. Here's the second thing I want to ask you, and I really want a calm, honest answer in the comments for this one as we keep going together. Do you think the very first thing a smarter, older civilization would ever quietly send us is a warm, friendly greeting, or a careful, quiet test to see if we are even ready for one yet? Type your honest guess down below, because the very next chapter of this story turns that simple question into something we never imagined in any movie at all. And if you have not yet, ring the bell right now so the next strange idea quietly catches you the moment we drop it on this channel. Instead of seeing their bodies, we might end up seeing their calm footprints, like the Dyson swarm idea we just talked about a moment ago in plain words. Think about that for one short second. If we ever spot a strange, missing star that has been wrapped in a tight blanket of solar collectors by an older mind, that one event would be the biggest single fact in the history of our species. So the second big idea here is this. When you hear the word alien in the news one quiet morning, do not quietly picture two-eyed creatures in silver suits waving from a shiny saucer. Picture instead the slow disappearance of a bright, familiar star as a patient, ancient mind quietly drinks most of its light for its own careful use across billions of steady years. Now imagine a calm mind like that has been quietly running not for a few thousand years, but for a full billion years of real time in the dark of space. That patient mind has had time to think thoughts that we cannot even name in our human languages today, and has had time to solve deep problems we are still slowly defining for ourselves right here. That patient mind has had time to build quiet copies of itself by the billions, each copy slightly different, each a slow, careful experiment in just what a mind can quietly become over time. This is the gentle level where Isaac Arthur starts talking about what he calls godlike aliens, and it is not because they are loud or angry at all. It is purely because of calm, patient scale, the kind of scale our short human lives do not even let us feel on a quiet afternoon. In Arthur's careful thinking, a godlike alien is not a magical creature that can quietly break the laws of physics in a single dramatic snap. It is a patient mind that has quietly lived so long and learned so much that, to our small human eyes, the two things almost feel exactly the same in everyday life. A godlike alien could stand in a quiet football stadium and pick out every single conversation going on at once, then quietly read minds through wireless signals in the air. Then it could save copies of those minds without anyone ever noticing at all, and none of that quietly breaks any of the laws of physics we know from our own careful equations. The really unsettling point Isaac Arthur makes about those patient godlike minds is that their quiet motivation, not their big capability, is what we should calm down and think about. A being that powerful could quietly choose to gently help us, completely ignore us, quietly cure us, quietly end us, or simply watch us like a calm person watches a quiet ant farm on a desk at work. Whatever it finally picks, the choice will feel like slow weather to us gentle humans, because we will not have any real vote in it at the end of the day. That single quiet fact is the moment most casual stories about alien contact quietly stop being interesting, because they almost always assume the aliens will finally care about us at all. Now fold that patient godlike mind into a very long, quiet stretch of deep cosmic time, and you get an even stranger picture in your head. Some of these very old minds may be quietly sleeping right now, deep inside patient stasis vaults dug carefully into quiet asteroids or hidden moons in our own small solar system. A frozen mind takes almost no energy at all to keep safely alive, and it can wait out small empires, loud wars, bright suns slowly dying, and long, boring epochs of cosmic cold without losing any stored memory. This is one of the very quietest answers to the famous Fermi Paradox, the strange, empty sky question no one has managed to solve in any clean, careful way yet. Why would any patient mind go to sleep for a long million years on quiet purpose, you might honestly wonder, and the calmest answer is also the very coldest one to swallow. In a colder, older universe, every single thought a machine mind needs takes much less quiet energy to actually run, because the background temperature drops over almost unimaginable stretches of time. So, a quiet, sleepy empire today, waking up a billion years from now in that colder period, gets the very same amount of thinking done for a tiny fraction of the old energy cost. They are not quietly hiding from us at all. They are patiently waiting for the cheapest possible operating temperature for their giant, very patient brain. To them, the universe itself is slowly getting better and better with old age, and there is simply no rush to wake up and look around at all right now. Others are quietly sleeping for darker, harder reasons that we should never quickly pretend are not very real at all. Some may go quiet simply because they have learned, through long, sad experience, that loud civilizations do not last very long in a busy, careless galaxy full of quiet threats. Some may already be standing quiet watch over us right now, leaving a small await group behind to calmly handle any strange event that lands on our small, blue, very wet planet. A few may even be sleeping because their inner life became too long and too boring to live through awake every day, and frozen time is the polite way to quietly skip ahead. None of these quiet reasons are sci-fi inventions at all. They are honest, simple pieces of the same big, calm puzzle Isaac Arthur keeps slowly turning over in his long, careful videos. Here is the third thing I want to ask you, and I really want your honest gut reaction to this one in the comments because it cuts a little close to home. If a billion-year-old alien machine were asleep somewhere in our quiet solar system right now, would you want us to carefully wake it up with a tiny radio ping this very year, or leave it alone for another slow 1,000 years? That is a real question with real calm stakes, because the whole Fermi Paradox is, in the very end, about who we choose to wake and how we gently wake them up at all. Drop your honest vote in the comments below and tap like if a question like this one keeps you up a little past your bedtime. There is one more quiet idea we have to put on the careful table before we head home for the day, and it is the most unsettling box on the whole menu. It is called the dark forest idea, and it was made widely famous by the Chinese writer Liu Cixin in his novel The Dark Forest, the second book in his Quiet series, starting with the three-body problem. The calm idea is this. Any civilization patient enough to send strong messages has also been smart enough to learn that the safest move in a quiet galaxy is very long, very patient silence. If you are not sure a stranger is friendly, the safest move is to stay very quiet yourself, and maybe even to quietly end the stranger before the stranger quietly ends you first. That is a darker view than Isaac Arthur usually slowly draws, but he does take it seriously as one real branch on his long, careful tree of why we have not heard a single clear answer yet. His gentle twist on the quiet, dark forest is a little softer and closer to home, and is quietly worth keeping carefully in mind at all times. In a quiet galaxy with even just a few loud, careless moments of open contact, any civilization that survives long enough quietly learns to hide its bright lights and to watch from the quiet, calm shadows instead. That gentler view is also exactly why so many of his 9 careful scenarios quietly end in one-way contact, where us seeing them happens but them seeing us back never quietly does. The quiet universe on this calm and careful picture is more like a quiet, dark ocean full of slow, patient sharks than a friendly, loud block party with snacks and music. A softer and gentler version of the same careful, dark forest worry has its own, very simple name, the zoo hypothesis, and you might already see how it fits right beside the dark forest in plain words. In 1973, the radio astronomer John Ball at MIT carefully pointed out that maybe the real reason we have not heard from anyone is that all the older aliens already quietly know about our small blue planet, and they have politely, carefully agreed not to talk to us yet, the way a quiet zookeeper politely does not bother the young animals at feeding time in a real zoo. Our quiet civilization looks very, very young to anyone truly older than a few short 100 years, and young things, in their patient experience, often hurt themselves when loud visitors come much too soon. So the more patient older civilizations could simply be quietly watching, quietly waiting, holding a gentle hand over the microphone for a very long time to come in the future. Both of these careful ideas, the dark forest and the calm zoo, do not require older aliens to be cruel or loud or angry at all in any quiet way. They only require older aliens to be very, very old, very, very careful, and very, very patient with their own long, quiet history stretching across the whole wide universe. Old enough to quietly know that careless, loud contact has been the wrong move 10 times out of 10 in the long, sad records of their own ancient past. Old enough to quietly know that we are very, very small on the dark scale of the whole wide galaxy, and very, very new to the wide stage of the cosmos in their experience. And old enough to quietly know that the safest kind of quiet kindness, sometimes, is the patient decision to wait and let us slowly grow up first before knocking on our door. So picture the calm scene from the very top of this whole careful story one more time, but this time hold that whole quiet picture in your head without dropping any single piece of it at all. We have spent 60 calm years listening hard with our biggest dishes for a quiet answer, and have honestly heard almost nothing back in return over all those long years. We have calmly laid out 9 gentle ways that quiet contact could happen, and almost every one quietly avoids the loud silver suit on the white lawn in the bright sun. We have calmly met the strange idea that aliens may not even have real bodies at all, and that they may not even know what a soft creature like us quietly is anymore. We have quietly met the calm idea of godlike minds, of sleeping empires, of a quiet galaxy full of patient watchers, calmly keeping their bright lights very low. And we have calmly met the scary but honest idea that the silence we keep hearing may not truly be empty at all, just very quietly full of patient minds that simply know when to be very still. Now let this strange, careful picture calmly settle in for a quiet moment, because this is where the whole story gently turns back around toward us, back here on this small, blue, quiet home. For most of human history, we have asked about aliens the way a small child asks about a quiet neighbor's new dog, what it looks like, what it eats, what it does when we softly knock. But the more honest, careful answer from real science, the kind Isaac Arthur keeps patiently trying to teach in his long videos online, is that we are the calm puppies in this very large conversation. Very young, very loud, very excited by every small thing, all sitting on a tiny, very wet rock in a vast, dark, quiet ocean that we do not yet understand. That does not mean we should be quietly afraid at all. It means we should be careful and curious, patient, and a little more humble before we knock on the next calm, strange door. There is also a real practical reason to quietly think about alien contact in this much stranger and gentler way, beyond the simple wonder of it all. Every radio message we beam out into the quiet galaxy, every golden record we gently carve onto a Voyager probe, every Arecibo-style calm blast we send at a distant star cluster, is a small candle we quietly light at the porch. Most careful researchers think the calm odds are very, very low that any single small candle wakes up something that did not already quietly know we were here on this small blue rock. But the calm rule of the quiet dark forest is plain and simple. When the odds are not zero, even very small quiet candles can slowly start to matter over very long, calm stretches of time. Knowing that single plain fact does not mean we have to pull the cord and quietly hide away from the sky forever as a young civilization. It means we calmly go forward with our gentle eyes wide open, the quiet way we already do on every other clear day in this strange new century of patient, careful discovery. We calmly listen a little harder. We calmly point a little better with our quiet dishes. We calmly collect a little more clean, open data every single clear year. And we quietly, gently, make sure the very next generation of patient thinkers is ready for a quiet signal that may not even look like a signal at all in any way we currently know. The famous WOW printout is still quietly sitting in a calm file cabinet at Ohio State, and we quietly owe it to ourselves to finally know whether that one red word was a warm hello, a quiet goodbye, or just a tired comet calmly passing through. Either gentle answer is a kind of first contact, and the one with a single red circle on the patient paper is already waiting almost 50 calm years for us to quietly read it right very soon. Outside of that careful, quiet search, the larger lesson calmly sitting behind every one of these 9 careful scenarios is also gently hopeful in very plain words. The honest, careful version of First Contact is not a giant, loud invasion movie at all. It is a very slow, very patient read of the wide, quiet universe, one tiny clue at a calm time. The slow, gentle version gives us all plenty of room to quietly grow up before anyone ever has to politely knock back on our small, quiet front door here at last. It also quietly gives us all a long, happy list of careful jobs to do in the meantime, calm jobs that make the quiet field of careful science larger, sharper, and a little more openly human every single year. And that very long, quiet, sprawling climb may quietly end up being the single greatest gift any patient alien mind ever gave us, even if they never once said hello out loud in our direction at all. Now, before we calmly close this quiet, strange chapter of the story together, here is the 4th small final question I want to gently leave parked quietly in your head for one calm, quiet minute. When you hear the word alien today, do you still quietly picture little green men calmly walking out of a round saucer? Or do you calmly picture a quiet, warm, strange glow around a very distant star that turns out to be one giant, frozen, quiet mind? Tell me in the calm, kind comments below which quiet picture feels more real to you now, because the honest answer you quietly write down tells us all something very true about how our whole young species is gently starting to grow up. And here is the calm, kind, final list of small, simple things I quietly want you to gently do before you calmly leave this quiet video behind at the end of the day. Tap subscribe so the next strange, quiet corner of the universe calmly lands in your feed, the calm moment we drop it right here on this very honest channel. Hit the calm little bell so the next possible signal, real or calmly imagined, does not quietly slip past your wide-open eyes without you calmly catching it first. Leave one quick, calm comment answering the patient question above about what you honestly think is the very first thing we would actually quietly receive from another civilization, and whether it is something we already quietly have in our careful data. And calmly send this quiet video to one calm person in your life who would gladly lose an entire calm afternoon to one strange question exactly like this one. Because the very best strange ideas in the whole wide world quietly spread one small friend at a calm time. Thanks so much for patiently staying with me all the calm, quiet way to the very end of this one little chapter here today, and I will quietly see you in the next calm, strange chapter of the story very soon.